Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about some of the information that came out of the Black Library Weekender from the people who are actually on the floor. I'm going to say on the floor, they're actually like taking part in the seminars and stuff like that. And one of the big things is, of course, Mephiston. Mephiston is confirmed now to be a Primaris Marine. So let's jump in, let's go over it all, and let's just get talking. A massive shout out to a chap called AA.Logan over on Bolter and Chainsword. If you're not over on Bolter and Chainsword, by the way, then what you do in your life, it's probably the best 40k form there is on the internet at this time. It's amazing. It does everything from like discussion from Black Library to posting your models to just general hobby talk and everything like that. Go over, sign up, make an account. It's an amazing, amazing form. Now, there's two books kind of coming out at the same time. One is, of course, Darkness in the Blood, which is the next part of the Dante series, which I'm massively looking forward to. The two previous stories, which is, of course, Dante, the first one, and then the Devastation of Baal, which is the sequel, have been completely mind-blowingly awesome. It's really give you an insight into the Dante character, which completely rocked my world. We get flashbacks to him as a child and stuff. We see him going through the training process to become a Blood Angel. If you haven't started this series by Guy Haley, trust me, it is the series to start. It is absolutely fantastic. And of course, with this one is Darius Hinks's City of Light, which features Mephiston. Now, during this seminar, the two authors were in there answering questions on their book, the characters, the general outline, you know, what they're going to be kind of facing, what kind of personality kind of traits and stuff like that which is attached to these characters, because they're such massive characters when it comes to 40k characters, especially from the Imperial side. Now, we'll get into more of the story side in a second, but let's just talk about the Primaris factor for now, because that's probably the big thing in this whole video. So one of the questions was asked was Dante crossing the Rubicon, how would it be different? Guy Haley answered, if it did happen, you'd have to find another challenge for him referring to Dante. Now, Darius Hinks went on to say that it's already happened with Mephiston. It was a big surgery. Mephiston does it because he has to. Maybe Dante hasn't done it yet because he's too important to risk at this moment in time, perhaps. Now, of course, let's get back to the Mephiston becoming a Primaris. This is a massive, massive thing now. So a lot of people were saying that no, Mephiston isn't going to become Primaris. There's still going to be a lingering of that firstborn Marine when it comes to some of the main characters. But this now proves GW's full intent of going fully in with the Primaris Marine. When you start upgrading characters, now we've already seen stuff like Calgar, Tigurius, you know, Tor Garadon, these characters. Now, I could argue that maybe they're not big characters, and you know, Calgar is a big character, Tor Garadon, I think, are big characters and stuff. But when you come to characters like Mephiston, Dante, I personally think they're a next level of character when it comes to Space Marine characters, and for Mephiston to be confirmed to have crossed the Rubicon, to be a Primaris Marine, that is now the intent of GW going forward, and everything from now on. So I can see Ragnar, Azrael, all these massive characters, hopefully Helbrecht soon, Grimalda soon. I know that they haven't had it in their latest Faith and Fury book, but when they eventually do get updates to their characters, their models and stuff like that, they will definitely 100% be a Primaris Marine. It's just inevitable at this moment in time. There's a really very interesting line attached to this by Guy Haley. He says, the Mephiston crossing is complex. He has to after going off the rails. It has a big consequence, but it's a secret now. The Blood Angels are a spiritual chapter. Warp touch, not just because of Sanguinius' death. So hopefully there's more in these books which explore the Rubicon crossing, why Mephiston did it, and maybe there's certain reasons why he had to do it, maybe to save himself, to obviously fight another day, to do certain things. And it's got to be very, very interesting to see the inner conflict with Mephiston and how he fights in the book. The general story of it is that Mephiston is actually going to Prospero, and he's going to be doing some stuff at Prospero. Now, of course, Prospero Warp, Thousand Suns. I wonder what shenanigans he can get up to there. I'm super looking forward to it. Darius Hinks so far has produced a couple of, well, I think this is his second Mephiston book now, and the first one, from what I've heard, I haven't read it myself, so I can't really judge it, but from my friends, my close friends who I trust, they absolutely loved it, and one of them is a massive Blood Angel fan, so hopefully this one will be the same type of detail, and it will be awesome as well. Now, on to Dante, because Dante is one of my most loved characters when it comes to Warhammer 40,000. If it wasn't for my glorious love for Rogal Dawn and all his gene sons, then I would definitely be a son of Sanguinius. Now, Guy Haley gave us a little bit more insight into the next book, which is Darkness in the Blood, which I'm massively looking forward to. So he goes on a little bit of an information about Dante. He was asked, you know, what is next for Dante? How's he more or less finding it? You know, what is this like kind of book about? So Guy Haley said he's an ideal ruler because he doesn't want it, which sums Dante up. Dante just wants to die. He's served for so long. He's so exhausted. It's such a sad, sorry tale where he feel like he's done his service to the Imperium. He's done his service to Sanguinius and the Sons of the Angel, but they just want more and more from him. He goes into detail and says young Dante is physically imposing, but now he's very old. Marines are functionally immortals, but the gene seed has degraded over the span. So Dante's very, very old at this time, even for a Crusader Marine. Dealing with a flaw is degrading, so it's fighting the Swarm Lord. He's exhausted, but keeps holding out through his devotion. Giving a Marine a frailty is interesting. He mentions his legend has outgrown him, which is why he keeps a mask on. Has power, but is frail, and it's an interesting lead to a character. So basically, everyone sees Dante as kind of like a mini, well, I see him as a mini Sanguinius, and because he's so old, he wants to keep that whole character about him where people see him as this golden armored figure, and that's why he keeps his mask on all the time, because under that mask he is like an old man. He's really, really old. He's like super, like, we get like old Marines now and then, but this guy is like super frail and old, and the only reason that he's still going, he's still fighting, he's still purging in the Emperor's name, because his devotion to the cause. Now, there's an interesting thing he says actually about Baal as a whole. So, for those of you who don't know, I think everyone knows this by now, Baal is on the other side of the Great Rift, so it's basically in the Wild West. It's more or less cut off from the Astronomicon, warp travel, everything north of the Great Rift is just no man's land. It's so scary, you can't really control things, you know, there's demons, there's pirates, there's Xenos, just ravaging, killing, taking, burning, maiming, everything like that. So what has happened now is that Baal has become like the focus of humanity in the north part of the Great Rift, where everyone is heading to Baal. Baal is like the new terror, kind of. So everyone is going there, and it's up to Dante to hold this burden. Everyone's coming to him, everyone's looking for the Blood Angels for protection, because that is the only place where the Imperium is the strongest north of the Great Rift. So it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of things pop up there and stuff like that. Will it become like basically like the new terror and the Blood Angels empire, just like Macragge? Well, I say Macragge, you know, the Empire of the Ultramarines, Ultramar and stuff like that. Will we start to get like a kind of format like that soon, where Baal and the Blood Angels start taking more stars around the systems, and that's where the peak of humanity will start to settle north of the Great Rift? It's going to be really, really interesting. Someone mentioned Gabriel Seth. Will he be taking part in this book? And Guy Haley said no, he won't be taking part. He's been set up for something else. A part of this, the Blood Angels' relationship with the Primaris, and Guy Haley said he can't answer at this time. Spoilers from this book and another book I've been working on. So I maybe think that, is Guy Haley working on like a separate book dedicated to Gabriel Seth, or something around Gabriel Seth? Because we all know Seth's opinion on the Primaris. He said it to Dante himself that if Guilliman had his own way, we'll basically just become Red Ultramarines and stuff like that. So I'm wondering, is Seth going to be taking the form of Primaris like the rest of the Blood Angels have been? And I can't actually wait to see the relationship with the Primaris from the Blood Angels, because we all know that apparently they're not affected by Sanguinius's, you know, the Black Rage and stuff like that. There's still debate like the Red First still exists with the Primaris and stuff. Call never fixed that properly. So yeah, we can see what actually happens. There's one more thing that piqued my interest, which was mentioned in this, and that is the angels Vermilion. Now, for those of you who don't know who they are a successor of the Blood Angels, and Dante more or less banished them. He doesn't like them. He didn't want them taking part in the devastation of Baal, because he found out what they were doing, and what they were doing was basically draining the blood of the populations they looked after, and using it to drink. And they also like sacrificed their sanguinary priests as well, mixed all the blood in together, and they basically had cocktails and stuff like that to try and keep away the Black Rage and stuff like that. But Dante found out, and he was absolutely furious about it, and yeah, he massively disliked them. But Guy Haley says it's in the collector's edition, redeemed in the devastation of Baal. So apparently the Angels Vermilion have been redeemed. All right, Chaprunios, that is me done for another video. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening as always. Again, a massive shout out to a chap called A.A. Logan, who gathered all this information. It's not just this, he's done others for like the Sabbath Crusades and stuff like that. If you want to go and read it all yourself, I'll leave a description, I'll leave a link in the description of the video, and you can go and check it all out. Go and register over on Bolt and Chainsaw. Really, it's an amazing site. Let me know your thoughts, feedback on everything I've discussed. Are you happy about Primaris Mephiston? Do you hate it? Would you want Dante to become Primaris? Leave it all below, and we can have a nice little chat as always down there. See you now, and bye-bye.